This is a story about my archaeological fieldwork in Armenia, but the story begins somewhat unconventionally in Dalton, Georgia. I've always been fascinated by roads. I grew up in the hills of northwest Georgia near Highway 41, which in its heyday was a major north-south conduit for people traveling north from Michigan all the way south to Miami, Florida. In the small wood frame house where I was born, the house would rumble and sway from the vibration of transfer trucks turning off of Highway 41 as they headed down Brickyard Road to the carpet mills. My part of Highway 41 was once known as Peacock Alley because of the brightly colored bedspreads hung along it to entice early car travelers to slow down and make a purchase. Such roads radically transformed the communities that they passed through. Both my grandmother and grandfather worked at Cabin Craft, an early textile mill that grew up from this cottage industry. By the end of the 20th century, Dalton, Georgia was the self-proclaimed carpet capital of the world, producing billions of dollars of carpet every year. Federal Highway 41 itself was preceded by the old Dixie Highway, which wasn't a highway at all as much as it was a tangled and hopeful confederation of local roads that aspired to be part of a greater system. However, these days, I study roads in a very different context, along the high mountain passes of Armenia. Armenia is a mountainous country located between Europe and Asia, bordered by the modern-day states of Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Iran. In 2017, the University of Central Florida set up a formal partnership with the National Academy of Sciences in Armenia to study the rise and fall of fortress culture along a north-south road that follows the Yagagas River and culminates in the Salim Pass at 2,400 meters above sea level. There are two specific periods when fortress culture along this corridor boomed. The first is during the early to middle Iron Age when the Urartian Empire built fortresses in Armenia. The second of these is medieval, during the Silk Roads period. The Silk Roads were a tangled confederation of roads along which goods passed from east to west, and explorers like Marco Polo recounted tales of the East to an entranced Western audience. Many think of the Silk Roads as a single trail, but in all reality, there were hundreds of routes that connected east and west. But we're not just interested in studying fortresses. We're also investigating villages, caravanserais, and fire beacon signaling stations so we can understand how everyday people both contributed to and were affected by changes along the road. One of the best parts about archaeology is that you can't do it alone. It requires other people in order for it to be successful. For me, that's my favorite part of the research. All of the wonderful friends that we made along the road.